What is up, Jaguar students? It's your friendly neighborhood math teacher, Mr. Allred, and we're here to talk about Unit 9, mini lesson number 1 today. Our Unit 9 is called Angles and Triangles. We'll talk about some geometric properties of angles and triangles, okay? We've had a little introduction to this already. If you remember a day last month when we walked around the school, we had some angles that were on the floor that I had made on duct tape. We walked around the school and looked at some complementary angles and supplementary angles, just as kind of an introduction to this. I know that was a long time ago, but it's the truth. That's what happened. All right. Today we're going to talk about finding missing angles with equations. We're going to take a couple notes at the beginning about some different vocabulary words, and then we're just going to try a couple practice problems here together. I don't think this will take too much time out of your day. Okay. Please try to stay with me, take notes, and Ed Puzzle is going to ask you some questions along the way as you go. All right. Here it is. We're going to start with some vocabulary. We have 5 different vocabulary words. Some of them I've drawn pictures for. I'm going to give you some definitions. Please write everything you see here. Okay. Supplementary angles are two or more angles that add up to be 180 degrees. If you look at angles A and B right here, think about that whole distance from one vertex on this end to the other vertex over here. Because this forms a straight line right here, those are supplementary angles, and they add up to 180 degrees. If I knew B, I could always find A because I knew it would add up to 180 degrees when added to B. Those are supplementary angles. Complementary angles are two or more angles that add up to be 90 degrees, just like A and B do here. You see that this one line creates a right angle with this line. We know that because there's a little square drawn there for me. Right in the middle there of those lines. And because that's a right angle and this little ray splits those two lines, that right angle, I know that A and B have to be complementary angles that add up to 90 degrees. Okay. The next angle relationship is vertical angles. That's when two angles are across from each other from the vertex, and they are congruent. The vertex is this little point right here where the two lines intersect. And because those two angles are across from the vertex, they are called vertical angles. Whatever D is, whatever its measure is the same thing C is. If I told you D was 100 degrees, that would mean that C would also have to be 100 degrees because they are vertical angles and they are across from each other. They have congruent measurements. Okay. Adjacent angles are two angles that are next to each other. They are beside each other. They share a common ray, a common side right there in the middle. Okay. Sometimes it might look like that. Sometimes it might not. But those are adjacent angles. This angle right here and this angle right here are adjacent angles to each other. They're next to each other. It's just a fancy word for next to each other. Okay. Congruent. We've heard that math word before. That just means two angles have the same measure, much like this right angle right here do and this right angle right here. Okay, those are congruent angles. They have the same measure. Whenever you hear the word congruent, you can just replace that with equal, same word. Okay, if there are no further questions about the different vocabulary words, we're going to use that knowledge that we've created here in this chart to work through a couple of these example problems. Okay, we'll start off basic first. On number 1, it says find the value of x. Okay, I know that this angle is worth x degrees, and this angle adjacent to it is worth 30 degrees. This whole angle relationship from one side to the other is a supplementary relationship that add up to 180. So you can see I've already started an equation for you. That's what we're going to do here in this mini lesson. We're going to try to write equations and solve them, okay, using the knowledge that we have and the vocabulary words that we've learned. If I knew that x plus 30 equaled 180, I could subtract 30 from both sides. That would leave me with just x on one side and 150 degrees on the other side. X would be worth 150 degrees in that angle relationship. Okay. If I ever ask you to find the supplement of a given angle, looking at number 2, I'm asking you to find the angle that would add up to that one to be 180 degrees between the two of them. Okay. All you need to do for this part is you're going to subtract all these different numbers from 180 and figure out what the supplement to them would be. I'll do A, B, and C for you. 180 minus 40 is 140 degrees, so the supplement to 40 would be 140. 180 minus 89 is 91 degrees, so supplement to 189 would be 91 degrees. 180 minus 18 is 162 degrees, so the supplement to 18 degrees would be 162 degrees. All right, you can all subtract from 180. I'll move on. If I'm trying to find the value of x here, this next math problem, Okay, these are supplementary angles that add up to be 180 degrees. I know that because this forms a straight line right here from this point to this point. Okay, so I'm going to write an equation using what I know about this definition. Those are two angles that add up to be 180. I'm going to take my terms x and add 2x minus 30 to it and set it equal to 180. I know when I add those two angle measurements, they equal to 180. Okay, if you combine like terms, x plus 2x is 3x minus 30 equals 180. I'm going to split my equation with a little line. And what I'm going to do is add 30 to both sides, just like I would to solve that equation. 180 plus 30 is 210, and 3x minus 30 plus 30 is 3x. If you divide both sides by 3 to get rid of the coefficient, 3x divided by 3 is x, and 210 divided by 3 is 70. So x is 70 degrees here on that fourth math problem there that you see on your page. Okay, that's the first example of a complicated missing angle problem with a variable. We wrote an equation and solved it. Okay, I'm going to skip down to this next section. I'm actually going to skip over number 1 because I think you can probably do that. Okay, those are complementary angles. I know that this angle plus 40 has to equal 90. So I wrote an equation right here that says that. Okay. And I'm going to, okay, I'll just do it. I'll subtract 40 from both sides, and that's going to cancel out my constant. X will be 50 degrees there. Okay. To find the complement of a given angle, same thing. You're going to find the angle that would add up to be 90 degrees, since the definition for complementary angles is two or more angles that add up to be 90 degrees. Okay. We're going to use that same logic here for this fourth math problem on this side of the page. I know that these two angles had to add up to be 90 degrees. These are complementary angles. This angle plus this one. Okay, so I'm going to write an equation that says that x, this angle, plus 3x plus 20 equals 90. When I combine like terms, x plus 3x is 4x. If 4x plus 20 was 90, I could subtract 20 from both sides, and that would cancel out my constant. I'd be left with just 4x equals 70. 90 minus 20 is 70. When I divide both sides by 4, I do get 17.5 degrees. I found the measure of x to be 17.5 degrees. And what I've done now for you is I've done a couple math problems here for y'all. I'm not going to lie to you. It took me 7 minutes and 34 seconds. Okay? What you're going to do is you're going to look at a couple more problems there on that page. You're going to come to me and look at some of the problems on the back. Okay? And we'll be done after that. Okay? I really appreciate you listening to me. Thanks for taking good notes. All right? And I'll see you on the other side. All right. Have a great day. Stay classy.